Now, want to talk a little bit. We're going to go quick through this. You guys know that I'm not here to do a big pitch, but I do want to make sure that everyone is well aware about client success and who we are. As I mentioned when we kicked off, my name is Christy Falteruso. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Client Success. We are a customer success management solution. So we are a software company that helps our customers manage their customers from new to renew. So managing that entire post-initial sales lifecycle. So if you are on the market for a customer success software platform, please check us out. You can head over to our website and request a demo. You can also just message any one of us at Client Success. We'll be happy to engage with you, talk to you a bit about our technology, but would really love for you to just take a peek. If you've got a solution in place that's not meeting your needs, also would love to have a chat. So please just consider us if you are seeking out customer success software. Got a few other fun updates. So we are running an end of summer sale. So if you are looking for a solution right now, we do ask that you just go and complete a demo by the end of August, so August 31st, and you'll qualify for a 20% discount on your subscription, which is huge. I know everyone is trying to cut their budgets and save some money. It's a great way for you to bring on a software like Client Success, also doing so by being price conscious. So you can head over to this URL, info.clientsuccess.com/20-off. And select your demo. You'll go through the process there. If you decide to move forward, you'll be able to take advantage of that savings. Two more things, I promise I'll go quick. If you are a customer success leader, we are also gearing up for CS100. If you are not familiar with CS100 Summit, this is a leadership immersive event. I got to tell you, I've been in customer success for over a decade now, and my first time attending CS100 was last year as an employee here at Client Success, and I got it. I understood what everyone had been talking about for years. I tell you, it is an intimate, fun experience. That it's all the way I can describe it, is an experience. You're doing wonderful activities. You are networking, you're collaborating with the best of the best, your peers. It is an amazing, amazing event. So many folks I know that are on the webinar today are already registered, but I tell you guys, it is capped at 100 people. That is why it is called CS100. It is intended to be small and intimate because of the way that we set it up. So if you're interested in learning more, or if you're interested in using my promo code, send me a message on LinkedIn and I will happily share my promo code with you if you are interested in attending. It is a leadership event. So I'm not trying to be too exclusive here and leave people out, but it is intended for leaders. That way everyone gets the most out of it. Leaders want to share with other leaders. It's the best way to bring and share knowledge, at that level. So we do ask that you just be a leader to attend. But if you want my promo code, just send me a message and I will give it to you. Okay. Last one, and I promise then we're going to get to all the goodies. We are also running our State of Customer Success survey. I did a post on this on LinkedIn. There was also one from our Client Success account. If you're following us on LinkedIn, if not, please go follow Client Success on LinkedIn. We are doing our State of Customer Success survey. This is our annual survey where we collect tons of data. We already have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who have already submitted. The more data we get, the more expansive and the more valuable the survey is. So it's like, value in, value out. So if you haven't taken our survey, we do ask that you please give us 15 minutes of your time, complete that so we can extend the data. We're going to share it. It's going to be an awesome, awesome report that comes out of this. You can also enter to win some really cool Apple products. So please, if you've got 15 minutes to spare, please donate them to me and submit your results to our survey over there. Okay, enough about all of those things, and you can go to LinkedIn and find updates on all of this, or go to our Client Success website. Let's talk about why we're all here today. So we are kicking off, again, another session in our Customer Success Thought Leader webinar series. I know this is the longest name of a webinar series I could ever have imagined, but I couldn't think of a better way to say all of the things. So this is our webinar series. Every week since June 20th, when my friend Jan Young, she kicked us off with an amazing, amazing session on change management. If you guys did not listen to that, please go back and listen to it. We have only had hit after hit after hit, amazing speakers each and every week sharing the best information. And so please go back, listen to anything that you've missed. But today I am literally honored to host my friend Anita, who is going to be talking to us about all things retention today. She is the Chief Churn Crusher at ATI. And so Anita, come off mute, my friend.
I certainly will. Hello, everybody. Wonderful to be here. Christy, wow, that was that was awesome. I think if people try to listen to this on 1.5, there's no way they could keep up
listen, I'm not the star of the show. You are the star of my show. So I got to go quick. Nobody wants to hear me ramble around logistics. So I got to make time for you, my friend.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, let's get into this. And first of all, I want to thank you, Christy, for putting on this entire summer series. I have gone back and listened to some of the webinars that I missed. I encourage everybody to do the same thing. Check them out. There's amazing information, like Christy said, awesome speakers. So let's get into it so that we can get to your questions at the end. I actually love the Q&A the best. It's my favorite part. So I'm Anita Toth. As Christy said, I'm the Chief Churn Crusher at ATI, and we are a research, strategy, and education company that specializes in customer retention. And we're in the business of helping customer success leaders become more successful at retaining their customers. So give me one sec here, make sure, there we go, that's working. So this is what we're going to talk about today: how to supercharge your customer retention by unleashing your customer data advantage. So we're going to start on a bit of a low note here. Customer success needs to elevate its status to that of marketing, product, and sales. And to get an understanding of why this has been so tough, it's helpful to look back in history. So literally, product sales have been around for 100,000 plus years. Looks a little different than it did today. It was mainly a barter system, but we're all familiar with what products are. Our modern day sales started in the early 1800s, really with the advent of the Industrial Revolution. And marketing, which we're also very familiar with, started with the Industrial Revolution as well, more so toward the early to mid 1800s, but it really gained steam after World War I, when it became much more scientific and really psychology based. And as you'll learn in a moment, had something to do with Sigmund Freud. But here's the big challenge. Customer success as we know it today really started in the early 2000s after the bust of the dot-com boom. So customer success hasn't been around that long compared to 200 years of marketing, sales, 100,000 years of product, maybe 2 decades at most. So I just wanted to say that, customer success is having this challenge to elevate its status to that of product marketing and sales. And part of it just has to do with history. So I'm going to tell you about Edward Bernays, and he was Sigmund Freud's nephew. Bernays was hired by the American Tobacco Company in 1929, and they were looking to increase cigarette sales among women because at that time it was taboo for women to smoke in public, and cigarettes were primarily a product for men. The American Tobacco Company wanted to break this taboo to tap into the potential market of female smokers. So Bernays came up with this plan. At the time, women were organizing in a women's liberation movement. Bernays took cigarettes and rebranded them as torches of freedom. And smoking then really became an act of rebellion against societal norms and a way for women to express their newfound independence. Bernays launched his Torches of Freedom campaign in the 1929 Easter Sunday parade in New York City, and this is a really high-profile event. Bernays knew that the media was going to be there, and he had a large group of women light up their torches of freedom, and the press coverage was just immense. The campaign was a massive success, and it transformed public opinion and social norms, making it more acceptable for women to smoke in public. And needless to say, cigarette sales among women soared. Now, everyone accepts the power of marketing to a business's success. And Bernays' Torches of Freedom was the first marketing campaign to show the power of marketing on a business's revenues. Customer success can learn a lot about how marketing, product, and sales position themselves as a critical business function. Now, much like marketing, customer success gets an A around customers, understanding the customer's needs and goals, dealing with crisis management, community building, upsells and cross-sells when customers are ready. But customer success does not do a good job of showing strong business value. Instead, many customer success leaders focus on the day-to-day, and they really have no idea how to position customer success like product, marketing, and sales as a critical function of the business. Most customer success leaders don't understand how customer success can impact the company metrics. Can impact company-wide metrics. So customer success has the most customer insights data in the company. Marketing, they tend to focus on the broader market, the competitive landscape, and a bit around customer challenges. Sales understands what it takes to sign customers, and many of you know they don't always do the best job of converting the best fit customers. And product looks quite narrowly at features and the user experience. So marketing, sales, and product, they each have a narrow focus. But customer success gets a 360-degree customer insights view. Customer success is literally a gold mine of customer insights data. Customer success understands the wants, needs, desires, feelings, and goals of the customer. And they collect this information through meetings, customer advisory boards, emails, customer advocacy, community forums, quarterly business and executive business reviews. But most importantly, customer success is on the front line of what's changing with customers. CS hears about new use cases, new customer needs, new customer wants, and new customer goals. And this goldmine of customer insights data is what you will use to move from an F grade to an A grade and elevate your customer success team to the same level as product, marketing, and sales. Hearing what's changing with your customers puts customer success in a very unique and very powerful position. More than any other team, you are able to provide customer insights that impact key company metrics like customer acquisition costs, sales cycles and sales conversion rates, and product usage. What you hear from your customers can become a competitive advantage that can help your company gain a larger market share or stay ahead of the competition. This is so important that I'm going to say it again. Hearing what's changing with your customers puts your customer success team in a very unique and powerful position. Customer success can become a competitive advantage that can help your company gain a larger market share or stay ahead of the competition. Nikki was one of our clients. Her challenge was that she wanted to retain more of their better fit customers. And Nikki's customer success team was struggling with the pressure of too many poor fit customers. Really, her team was burning out. So she felt like she was swimming upstream and she knew she had to change something. She was well aware of the impact of upstream activities like marketing and sales, but she didn't know how to bridge the gap. So we got together and we created a plan. What we would do was start in customer success and then work upstream. The challenge was that Nikki had no relationships with marketing or sales. So what we chose to do was to focus on marketing. And what our company has found is that marketing tends to be the most receptive. And part of the reason for this is marketing is used to trying new things. I don't know how familiar you are with marketing and their success, but did you know that like 80% of marketing campaigns fail? So marketing is often really open to trying new things. So what we did was we ran 40 customer interviews on behalf of Nikki, and we looked at her best fit and her churned customers. And what we discovered was something really interesting. Her best fit customers tended to use the language of speaking about a solution or solutions, while the churned customers tended to speak about software. This shows a difference in perspective. So what we did was we taught Nikki what matters to her CMO. We helped her create a proposal that would benefit her CMO's metrics, including the customer acquisition costs. We coached her on giving powerful presentations. And Nikki discovered in a discussion with her CMO that the company's ideal customer profiles didn't include language or details like language. Marketing likes to test. So they ran some test campaigns using the word solutions versus software with their ideal customer profile. And while it took 4 months or so to see the impact, it was huge. In 4 months, Nikki and the marketing team were able to increase their best fit customers by 1.5%. The results were even bigger than that. Nikki's team was happier, customers were happier, and even customer support noticed a change. We continue to interview customers, learn more about them, and share that information with marketing. Marketing ran some more test campaigns, and this is awesome. The result, 12 months later, the company had increased their market share by 4% in the very competitive sales enablement vertical. Now, the challenge with customer success leaders right now is that you're facing some heavy external pressures. Increasingly, organizations are now expecting CS leaders to know the data, to identify and diagnose retention issues, and prescribe and lead cross-department initiatives to resolve and mitigate retention issues. So Sean had a challenge on his hands. Customers were churning at a higher rate than he wanted. And Sean noticed that sales were doing a really great job at pitching and selling their product. They were really good at what they did. The problem was that customer success didn't understand the customer's expectations. So CS was working really hard to find out what customers wanted. And customers were really frustrated that the CSMs didn't already know some of their details about their goals and their businesses. And customers were getting upset and churning because their expectations weren't being met. So what Sean did was he created a simple Google form for new customers to fill out. And it was through the analysis of that data that Sean discovered there were 2 things that were contributing to this high churn rate. First, sales was selling to poor fit customers, especially high value customers. And second, customers were setting their own expectations and then churning when those expectations weren't being met. But there was an extra challenge Sean faced, and that was the CEO wanted to increase sales. Sean owned his P&L. The CEO saw Sean's P&L, and his CEO was well aware of the high churn numbers, but they were focused on revenue growth. So the CEO gave Sean an ultimatum. If you want to implement something and it doesn't work early on, they were going to pull the plug and go back to what they used to do. The pressure on Sean was tremendous. If things didn't work out and work quickly, the CEO would roll everything back. And then there was a challenge of getting sales on board. Sean described this as something like rubbing your hands on coarse sandpaper. So needless to say, it wasn't a smooth ride. And Sean was faced with 2 big challenges as he embarked to reduce churn rates. First, the CEO was giving him a limited time and very little leeway to make a mistake. And second, getting buy-in from sales when all sales wanted to do was just sell at all costs. To get to the A grade and elevate your customer success team to be at the same level as product, marketing, and sales, you're going to have to do things differently. And you're likely, like Sean, you and your team are struggling with challenges that are the result of another team's actions. So whether it's poor fit customers, higher churn, or challenges with adoption and onboarding. And you may or may not have a good relationship with your sales leader or your CEO. And these are some of the challenges you may face. Resistance to change. Let's face it, humans don't like change, even when it's good for us. You might also have a lack of support. So Sean had support from his CEO, but it was really tenuous. If things didn't work and work quickly, that support would be pulled back. And you may also experience functional culture differences. So these are team differences, language, what they value, how they act. And then, of course, there are communications challenges. The functional cultural differences can cause breakdowns in communication. And of course, there's the potential for failure, both for yourself personally and the company. However, things can really work out well if you have a plan. So Sean focused on developing Sean focused on sales first. So he had a good relationship with the VP of sales, even though the process was still like rubbing your hand on coarse sandpaper. But Sean managed to do something that was really interesting. He managed to get the CSMs into the high value or complex sales conversations. CSMs understood the needs of the customer really well. And Sean pushed hard for the one thing that we rarely hear about, for CSMs to have the veto power over the sale. If the CSM thought that the prospect was a poor fit, they can veto the sale. Sean really pushed hard for this. And there were some challenges with the sales team, but now it works like a charm. And the sales team doesn't push back. So here are some of the outcomes of Sean's process. 1, churn improved. 2nd, sales now sells to more high value customers. They're getting more referrals. Customers are happier and they have positive online reviews. So Sean expanded, went further upstream, and marketing came next, and they didn't push back at all. And there was an unexpected bonus impact, and that was with the support team. Previously, the support team was burned out. They were really struggling. So they would typically take 8 hours to respond to support tickets. When this change was made in attracting and selling to better fit customers, less than 1 hour now to respond to support tickets. So needless to say, the support team is happier and they can serve their customers faster and better. And this has been so revolutionary that they are now looking to, they're now looking to institute a customer advisory board. So all of this led to a really big change in culture. Poor fit prospects simply don't become customers. And now customer success is also involved for upselling. So these are Sean's numbers: 3% monthly churn before this change, and now less than 0.5% of monthly churn. Sean reduced churn and supercharged his company's customer retention. Not only did he reduce churn and increase the attraction of better fit customers, but Sean also elevated the position of the CS team by getting sales to permit CSMs to veto a prospective customer in high value and complex sales meetings. Sean managed to move his CS team into a critical business function, just like product, marketing, and sales. Customer success now sits as an equal in terms of positively impacting the company. Imagine how different your days would be if you could have your CS team in the same position. In a moment, I'm going to show you how you can achieve this too. I'm going to show you how you can supercharge your customer retention by elevating your customer success team to the same business critical position like product, marketing, and sales. Remember I shared this story about Nikki, one of our clients using customer insights data to increase the number of better fit customers? We helped her create a plan to make this happen by bringing in her marketing team. Our company ran customer interviews on her behalf, and we discovered that their best customers use different language than their churned customers did. Remember, best fit used terms like solution or solutions, whereas churned customers use terms like software. Then we went to marketing. They ran different tests and campaigns, and 4 months later, found a 1.5% increase in best fit customers. And in the next 12 months, they kept using the same process to increase their market share by 4%. And here's what we did to help Nikki get those results. Number 1, we chose the team. We chose marketing because, like I said, they tend to be more open to trying different things. Second of all, we researched what mattered most to them. So the metrics, the language, the culture, and then we also looked what was personally important to Nikki's CMO. Then we ran customer interviews to gather new and highly actionable data that moved metrics. And then we analyzed that data, looking for key points, things like language, perspective, and goals, things that would help her CMO move his metrics in a positive direction. And then we presented the findings and offered the proposal. So Nikki presented the findings to her CMO and proposed to work collaboratively to better marketing's metrics, which would, excuse me, attract better fit customers who stayed longer and bought more, which of course was important to Nikki. So again, this plan led to 1.5% increase in best fit customers in 4 months and an increase in 4% market share in 12 months. And those are really impressive results. Sean happened to use the same plan. He chose his team. For him, it was sales because he had a good relationship with the VP of sales. He researched what mattered to that VP, things like shorter sales cycles, more referrals, and fewer clawbacks due to churn. Sean created a Google form for new customers because customer success was asking too many questions, and Sean was trying to find out what was going on. He analyzed the data and found out that expectations weren't being set in the sales process. And then he presented his findings to the CEO and to VP sales to get support to make changes. Sean went from 3% monthly churn down to less than 0.5% monthly churn. At this point, you might be feeling inspired. And you know what? I say congratulations to that. That's great. I want you walking away feeling what is possible and that you can make some serious positive impacts. I can tell you, though, that at least 20% of you will walk away and briefly think about implementing what you learned today. But honestly, you won't take any action. 40% of you will dig a little deeper. Maybe you'll visit our website, you'll read some articles, you'll talk to your colleagues, and you'll do some surface level research. 20% of you will try to implement some of the things I've shown you today. And 15% of you will truly be too scared to try. Only 5% of you will implement what you've learned here today. Sean and Nikki both discovered that making the commitment to increasing their customer retention was the easy part. The hard part was overcoming the challenges and committing to the goal over the long term. For Nikki's company, it took almost a year to get that 4% market share increase. For Sean, it took the better part of a year to get to the point where CSMs could veto a high value or complex prospective customer because they weren't a good fit. There are some serious adverse outcomes if you don't start making changes. For instance, higher churn. Investors look at growth, profits, and churn, and high churn affects valuations and negatively impacts profitability. Investors are wary of companies with high churn. High customer acquisition costs. This too reduces profitability and impacts cash flow. If companies are spending a lot of money to acquire customers, that means there's not a lot of money to be spent servicing those customers. And of course, there's a greater cost to serve. Poor fit customers tend to rely more on support services. They tend to submit more support tickets, and they take longer. And they take longer to resolve. And then slower growth. Higher churn equals you now have to spend money to not only try to acquire a new customer, but also replace the customer you lost. So twice as much work to replace and then grow the company. Replace the customer that you lost, plus try to grow the company. And more poor fit customers leads to more frustrated employees. Your burnt out team that are tired of spinning their wheels, feeling like they're getting nowhere. Headcount slashed. If customer success isn't viewed as business critical, you're on the chopping block. And smaller customer lifetime value. Fewer good fit customers mean fewer opportunities to upsell, cross-sell, and renew. Of course, you have unhappy customers, and that impacts all frontline employees. You have negative brand impact. Unhappy customers are much more likely than happy customers to complain online. Your company might lose market share, so you have negative reviews, which means fewer new customers. And the big one, your company may go out of business. Higher churn means higher customer acquisition costs, which means lower profits, and also negative brand reputation. Investors aren't interested. Cash flow becomes a huge problem. And without a positive cash flow, the business struggles to survive. The biggest challenge you face in making these changes isn't getting buy-in from your colleagues or your executive team. It isn't the possibility that you might be rejected. It isn't that you will struggle to figure things out. The biggest challenge you face is yourself. Now, I want you to picture 3 years from now. You and I have bumped into each other at an event, and you are feeling really good. And I mean, like, you're feeling so good that you're beaming with happiness. And you share with me that you decided to take what you learned in this talk and act on it. Despite the challenges, you took the chance and decided to take what you learned in this talk and make some serious changes. And here's what happened. You reduced churn. You lowered your customer acquisition costs. You lowered costs to serve. You now have shorter sales cycles. You've increased customer lifetime value. You have happier customers, happier employees, positive brand impact, more referrals, more customer advocates, and higher company valuation. And the biggest of all, your customer success team is now a business critical team. So here is your 5-step retention supercharge plan. First of all, you're going to choose a team to approach. I suggest marketing. Like I said, they like to test things out. They're usually much easier to approach than sales or product. And then you're going to research what matters most to them. Learn their metrics, learn their language, learn the culture, and most importantly, for your CMO or head of marketing, director of marketing, find out what is personally important to them. What are they passionate about? What are some of their pet initiatives? Then you're going to undertake customer interviews to find critical data that can be leveraged to move metrics. You're going to analyze that data looking for key points that matter to your CMO, your director of marketing, your head of marketing. And then you're going to share your findings from your interviews to get buy-in and offer your proposal. This is the same broad plan that both Nikki and Sean used to get their amazing results. Here are some of our recommendations to supercharge your customer retention. First is the proposal. To have your your proposal to your CMO is to have a shared customer insights database. So literally, this is where all customer insights are going to be held. And what this does is allow your team and marketing to build intelligence on your customers in one central location. You're going to include things like the customer's individual goals by title, the customer's business goals, customer needs, customers' wants or desires, unique customer language by segment, because you're going to hear different things from decision makers than you will from end users. This is the most important one. Like we talked earlier, this is where customer success can really shine, is starting to hear new changes that are happening with your customers, new use cases, new changes in their goals, new changes in their business. And of course, my favorite, customer feedback. Now, you want to make this database easy to understand and usable. So you're going to keep it simple. What I'm going to suggest using Google Sheets or Airtable or another database applications. You want to keep this out of your CRM or CS platform. In 1 second, you're going to find out why. That's because the eventual goal is to make this database accessible across the entire organization. The goal is to have other teams like sales, support, and product both use and input information. You also want your exec team to have access. The more your exec team can understand your customers, they can make better decisions that are beneficial to both the company and the customer. Help build collaborative relationships and break down silos. And a central customer insights database creates great data which leads to better customer engagement and customer outcomes. Because all teams are working together toward customer goals, and really they're not competing against each other in silos. So help everyone become more customer centric, and you get bigger and better customer and company outcomes as a result. So 5 years ago, I had an online course that I was selling. I sat in a webinar and was totally blown away by Kajabi, and it's an all-in-one learning management platform. And even though I was nervous and questioning whether, Kajabi was the right fit for me, all my anxiety melted away once I became their customer. And it was obvious that Kajabi worked really hard to make the customer experience the best it could be. The marketing, the sales, the product, and most impressively, I was so impressed with their onboarding. Unfortunately, after 6 months, I no longer needed the platform as I was no longer offering the course. But as I was canceling, I was asked to participate in a 15-minute exit interview. And as someone who runs exit interviews for a living, I have to say I was really impressed with the job Kajabi did of their exit interview. It was really obvious to me that they took their customer feedback very seriously and used that data throughout the company to improve their marketing, sales, product, and customer experience. I was so in love with my customer experience, Kajabi. If you can imagine this, I was actually a little sad to cancel. They had made my experience so good, including my exit interview, that 5 years later, I still recommend them to anyone who is looking to sell a course online. As a Kajabi customer, I've never forgotten how they made me feel. I felt valued, I felt listened to, I felt understood. Customer success is a gold mine of customer insights that can help elevate your team to the same business critical level as product, marketing, and sales. Customer success can literally become the competitive advantage for your company, but only if you take the chance and take action. And I believe you can do it. That's it.
Awesome stuff, Anita. Thank you so much for that.
You're
I love the little image
welcome.
there too. I wish I was sitting on a pile of gold, but technically I guess I am, right? As a customer success professional. All right. Very good, everyone. So listen, if you have not dropped your questions into the Q&A, please go ahead and do that. We're going to spend the rest of our time today answering any questions that you have. So Anita, do you want to just stop sharing your screen? That way you and I can go full picture. And we'll start with the first question that's in the Q&A. But again, for the rest of you who haven't asked questions yet, please feel free to head over and do so. So one of the first questions that came up was, what are some of the questions you asked to churned customers?
Oh, that's great, Lauren. So the biggest thing is trying to understand what data you're looking to get. So if you're looking to understand questions about product, then you would ask questions related to product. If you want to understand about the their customer experience, so what was like to be a customer, you would ask questions around that, or communications, or maybe even something personal like what the interaction was like with their CSM. So your questions are always going to be based on what data you are looking to collect. Now, if you're like, I'm not sure, I'm just starting this, I want to get an understanding of what's going on, then, excuse me, you can ask questions that are, encompass all of those. The biggest thing, if you are doing this as a survey, is to keep it short and just collect sort of really general things to get an idea. Then you can use customer interviews to go deeper. And in those interviews, you generally want about 30 minutes, if you can, to dive deep and really start getting an understanding. How much of the reason they churned is related to product? How much is actually out of your hands? Something changed in their business environment. Those are all things that you want to look at. And if you go over to our website, which is ati.ac, we actually have a webinar that teaches you how to do exit interviews. And then there's a guide that goes with it that will teach you how to create those questions. You don't have to use it for exit interviews. You can use this exact same process, even with your current customers. Whenever you have a hypothesis about something and you want to validate it, like Sean did, something's going on with these high churn rates. What's going on? Let's look. Then you can use this process to dig down and create the right types of questions to get the data you need to then make decisions that you can take action on.
Hey, Anita, can you do everyone a favor? People are really interested in finding this. Can you drop the link to where they can find that in the chat?
Absolutely. And actually, can I just share my screen again really quickly?
Of course you can.
Because there's two things that are really important. One is, in case you're wondering what is going on with this, I am somebody who loves to give downloads and things like that. So in case you're wondering, like, hey, where can I find this, 5-step Supercharge plan? Guess what? I have a download for you. I did all of this ahead of time so that you can just grab it and go. And let me just get the link. Absolutely.
We appreciate our guests making our community's lives easier, Anita. So doing the heavy lifting, like you're our favorite.
Absolutely. You know why? I always want to listen. So here I just dropped the link for the ultimate guide to customer exit interviews. So there's a webinar and then there's also the download. Okay. So that you can keep it with you and just refer to it as you need. And if you, am I sharing my right screen? Do you see me?
You're sharing the screen that says got questions.
There, this one, right? Okay.
No, we're still on got questions. Is that where you want us to be?
That's great. I for 1 second, let me do that. It's showing a different screen on, I have 2 monitors, so I got kind of confused. As always, my second favorite place to hang out online, believe it or not, is truly LinkedIn. So reach out to me over there if you have questions, lots of content. I try to post 3 to 4 times a week. Of course, there's our website, which is ati.ac. We see AC is for all customers because that's who we're trying to help you retain. And let me just, and if you, of course, if you click on the link I put in the chat, then you're going to get that. It's going to take you to our site. But of course, there it is, the download of this talk. If you happen to be on your mobile phone, just grab a screenshot and you can use the Google app, and the Google app will open it up for you. If you're on desktop, just grab your phone and you can snap a pic of that. And it's essentially all the plan, some of the challenges that you're going to go through. But the biggest thing I think is the inspiration that this talk can give you. We told you about Nikki, told you about Sean. Like, it's going to be hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You're going to be really challenged. But anything that we do in life that was worthwhile, that we're so proud of doing, came with some challenges. So whatever you're feeling in terms of nervousness or, fear, that's totally normal. But there's some really serious negative consequences if you don't take this risk and try. Marketing, you'll see, is often very, very open to supporting initiatives like this. They want to do well too. So grab that download. And like I said, if you have any other questions, especially LinkedIn, best place to reach out for me.
Wonderful. Anita, we do have another question in the Q&A. So Bruno asked, how is your customer health score currently composed? Like, what's the breakdown across NPS or engagement? How are you structuring that?
So we actually, I'll let you know, we really focus on gathering customer feedback. That's our area of expertise. Customer health score isn't something, I'll be honest, that I'm particularly well versed in. I think there's other people on LinkedIn. Christy, do you know who is really great with customer health scores? and being
There's
able
a
to
ton of folks, and we can definitely point you in that direction, Bruno. I'm even happy, Bruno, to chat with you about customer health scores and what I've seen work and how to use them. I don't think that they're the end all be all, to be honest with you. And I work for client success, and I've used customer success software for 12 years now. I think there is a way to structure them so that it's one additional data point, but I don't think that even a complex health score, and I don't even think that they should be overly complex, is your North Star, right? Because that's not going to tell you everything about your customer, right? I've talked at length about customers who have wonderful adoption, right? You look at it and from the outside in, right? Like they look like they are your stellar customer. They're engaged, they're using your product, they're giving you feedback, right? They're in your beta programs, they're advocates, and then they churn, right? And I've seen customers who have horrible health scores stay. So there's something more there. And so I think that there is some element of like how much weight we put in health scores and how to use them for intervention and informing teams on when to drive certain activities and actions. But I don't think that that is the sole indicator of these lagging indicators of retention and churn.
Right. And of course, coming from customer feedback, this is the thing that we really focus on. Some element of your customer retention plan has to include speaking with customers. And I don't mean in meetings or sending out surveys. I mean actually formal interviews where you are asking these same questions to different customers so that you can then compare the results. If your CSMs are asking questions differently, maybe they're probing a little further for information or leading customers with the types of questions they ask, you can't really rely on that data the same way as when it is rigidly structured. So again, the link on the exit interviews shows you why it's so important to figure out what data you're looking to collect, and then how to structure your questions properly. Because you want to go through and analyze and feel confident that you are basing your decisions on strong data. There was that old saying way back, oh yeah, I'm old, way back in the 80s when computers first started to, come into our homes, and it was garbage in and garbage out. So if people are just sort of collecting data all over the place and there's no standardization, it's not rigorous, then you have garbage data. And then you're making some really big decisions on garbage data. It becomes really important as much as you can to standardize. NPS is standardized. You're asking the same question to different people. You need to also speak with them directly through some sort of customer interviews. Doesn't matter if it's once a year, once a month, how you're going to do it. You need to dig deeper. And like Sean, like Nikki, that's where you're going to really get that data that shows, whoa, we have an opportunity here that we didn't even see. Or, wow, I didn't know this was that bad of a problem. And that's really what we're talking about here. Identifying opportunities, identifying risks, and then having really good data so that you can feel confident in the decisions you're making.
Anita, let me ask you a question on the surveys. So obviously, I love the idea of making sure that you're asking the same questions to everyone so you're able to use that data effectively. Do you have a perspective on whether or not you should be collecting qualitative and quantitative, or just qualitative or just quantitative data? Because I have to imagine like some metric along with the feedback might be helpful in structuring it to like have some data outputs. And maybe I'm a data girl and I need like lots of charts and graphs and pretty like visuals. But for me, like that, like having a number and saying like on a scale of 1 to 5 or something, how are we doing here? And then ask a more qualitative question that allows them to share some more in-depth feedback. What are your thoughts on that? Give me some perspective.
I love this question, by the way. Quantitative is great. There's nothing wrong with numbers, but they're just numbers. What are numbers? How the heck do you know that somebody wasn't in a bad mood 5 minutes before they filled out your survey?
This is why I don't love NPS, because all of a sudden you got a bug and someone's telling you they got a bug, right? In their score.
Exactly. So the problem is that numbers don't tell you the why. Why are people choosing these numbers? Why didn't they choose something higher? Why didn't they choose something lower? What was happening before they took your survey? Like, you're trying to get context. And if you can think of it this way, surveys are a monologue. one way. You can't even call it communication. You send it out, they respond, and then you're trying to guess. Okay, so last time they gave us a 6, but now they're giving us a 5. What's changed? Oh, I don't know. Why don't you know? Because you need dialogues, focus groups, customer advisory boards, customer interviews, listening tours, testimonials. Like, you've got to, at some point, involve these things so that you can get context and understanding, rather than, and this is what we do, kind of like I'm going back to Sean's example, because sales didn't set the expectations for the customers. They set them themselves. So what do we do in the absence of data? We just make up our own freaking stories.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because the market's bad. Oh, it's because there's new competitor. Oh, it's because of, right? And guess what? Because we don't have the data to support that, it becomes really easy to just go along with whatever story we made up in our heads and then use that to be like, nothing we can do. Must be, something else. So the qualitative data gives you that context. And once you have that context, you have a choice to make. You can either try to refute it and be like, it's not really accurate, not really true. Or you can do the harder thing, and all of us have done this, especially when feedback is negative. You sort of take a big breath and you look at it and go, I guess we need to do something about this. So you absolutely need both. You need a balance. So just think monologue and dialogue. Dialogues like we're having now is much stronger than when I was just talking to you and giving you my presentation.
I love that. Okay, let me dig a little bit deeper here. Now, for a lot of folks that might not have budgets or resources to have somebody externally come and do those types of listening tours and interviews with their customers, do you feel like it's still valuable enough to have an internal party go and collect that? Do you feel like customers are going to be honest and open and transparent in sharing that information? And do you think the CSMs should be doing it as frontline teams, or do you think it should be a leader or some external team member? I mean, what are your thoughts? Because I know a lot of folks probably love the idea of doing this, but are worried about how.
Do it. Start today. Get that customer exit interviews. It goes through this. It answers those questions, the webinar, but also the guide. You got to start somewhere, and you can't run before you learn how to crawl, right? It's okay to do it internally. I would not recommend CSMs doing it. In fact, what I would recommend is getting a small team, usually 2 people, 3 people if you can, who aren't necessarily immediately tied to whatever they're going to hear. Because the problem is, if we're a little too close to it, just think of, I don't know, difficult conversations you have with family members where now your fear comes up, you're worried, you're like, oh, I don't like that, whatever. You want to avoid that. You want to stay as neutral as possible. So that guide has the answers. I know we are out of time, so I'm just going to recommend going there, checking it out. You got more questions, ping me over on LinkedIn, but definitely start. The third party thing is when you have money and there's more at risk. But when you're first starting out, feel free to start internally and understand what the process is like and how it all works.
I love this. Anita, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge, your expertise with our community. This was super insightful. I have the little QR code ready. I've already got your survey up here, the interview questions. So I'm like ready to go deep dive into all of this and take some action myself. Hopefully everyone here is as well. And anyone who's listening to this recording in the future, super grateful for your time and all of your learnings today. This was amazing. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Don't forget, next week we have another wonderful webinar. So same time, same place next Tuesday. And just again, so grateful for everyone. Anita, thank you again so much.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Bye, everybody.
Bye.